Hello, everyone. Welcome. And thank you all for being here. Um, I want to continue the conversation that we were having about how to process and overcome and conquer the test of the dweller on the threshold. So we had been in discussion, and I have given you a protocol. It's not even a protocol. It's basically spiritual alchemy on how to deal with the fact that at some point during our spiritual development, all of us will have to face the idea or an internal accuser or dwell on the threshold that will basically bring you face to face with an identity crisis between who you are, human, flawed, broken, and who you desire to be. Elevated, ascended, more leaning into a harmonious and perfect being. And the test is that the dweller or the accuser will make you feel that you're incapable and undeserving of being or transforming your consciousness and elevate to that point. And there is not one ascended being that is trying to elevate themselves that has not faced that test. Everyone will have to face it, whether you want to or not. And I know what I'm saying here is not popular in the light community, because a lot of people in the light community, it's the feel good that they follow. Anything that's kind of confrontational that causes them to go to do deep inner work, or what is referred to sometimes as shadow work, they don't want to do it. They walk away from it. They push it down, and they find distraction, instead of going in and actually having this dialogue. And I have to say to you that that dialogue is important, because although the accuser will, at the moment when you're facing him, will make you feel that the part that it's, you can think of the accuser as a prosecutor, okay, that's going to bring evidence against you, and you have to be your own defense. But I want you to understand that whatever that prosecutor is coming in to accuse you of, you have to know that accuser will never feature the other parts of you that are correct, that are deserving, that are ready and prepared for ascendance. He will only point out to you the deficiencies, the parts that are broken, the parts that are insufficient, the parts that are lacking, the parts that are your past failures. And I want you to, and when you're facing that test and the way to overcome it, because a lot of people get stuck on this, they begin to think that the accuser is correct. By pointing this out, they only focus on their own inner darkness. They only focus on all the things that they may have done wrong in the past. They only focus on, and we need to go beyond that and realize that's not the only thing I've done. What are the positive things in my life that I have done? Am I not a loyal friend? Am I not an individual that's very disciplined? Am I not capable of great empathy and love? Don't I give a lot to others? And if all these things are true, there's part of you that has value as opposed to being deficient. So keep this in mind and go and have this internal dialogue with this accuser. And as the information shows up, be very aware that the stuff that are being pointed out are not being pointed out of malice, but they are an opportunity for you to heal. The accuser is pointing them out as a way for you to acknowledge your own internal brokenness, to acknowledge the parts of you that are cracked, that have fissures in them. And then once all of that is done and you have acknowledging it, you need to understand the mentality or the false belief or the false accesses that created them. Whether it was because you think you've been going around the world being a victim, or you have rage and anger issue because you were a victim. Sometimes these things go hand in hand together. Because you were victimized and you were abused, you lash out against everybody, against the world, because that's your defense mechanism, right? So we are complex beings and we react in very different ways. Where someone else may cower and may hide and may be constantly afraid, somebody else will be enraged and in fury. So if that is you, you need to acknowledge, okay, as a survival mechanism, I have moved about and I've done X, Y, Z. I've created these emotional reaction that are not ascended, but they were survival mechanism in my youth, in my past lives, when I didn't have the wisdom that I have now. Now that I've matured, that I am older, now that I am a little bit more seasoned, and the reason I created them, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, I created them because I personally was, what's the word? I was so gullible, so simple-minded, so young and insecure, and so human and so imperfect that that's the only way I could think of at the time to continue to exist. And therefore, I must forgive myself. I'm going to ask God, I'm going to ask the Ascended Masters and myself as well for forgiveness for having created these imperfect emotional reactions to the trauma and the brokenness and the abuse that happened around me. And if you can do this, the healing begins. The process of transmutation begins. So the first part is to realize that you were gullible, you were simple-minded, you were completely immature. And you did all and created the survival mechanism that you've been doing for multiple past lives, or for that matter, since your childhood, and they are not an ascended way to respond to the original trauma that triggered the whole thing. Now, I have to say something to you. The human psyche is the most fragile system that exists, but it is the most self-healing. And I'm giving you the process for that self-healing. So first, it's to acknowledge that there is a problem. As the accuser points it out, go within, do not fight with it, go within, pay attention to the circumstances. When was this the first time that I experienced this? What was the trauma that triggered it? What was the experience that triggered it? And then acknowledge, okay, this is an incorrect way of me reacting. God show me the ascendant pattern going forward that I should be following. And then now ask God and ask yourself for forgiveness for having, over so many years, being on a hamster wheel and repeating this pattern over and over again. Ask Spirit, ask everyone for forgiveness, including yourself. The second step, and then you're going to do this over a period of time. It doesn't happen in one sitting, over a period of time. And as you do this, then soon after that, there's going to be an experience it will grow organically. From the forgiveness, there will be a part of you that will accept the part without the accuser's attention that you were trying to bury or amputate from yourself. The part you didn't want to see. You're going to now realize this, although broken, although shattered, this is an integral and important part of my psyche. And I'm gonna, as Carl Gustav Jung talks about integration, I'm gonna integrate it for me to individuate, for me to become whole and complete. I'm using individuate because it's a psychoanalytical term from Carl Gustav Jung. It's what we would call ascension, for me to become integrated and to be individuated as a complete being. I have to accept these parts of me that are less flattering from where I'm standing right now. Okay? And as I accept all of this, I will begin now to move closer to integration and individuation. And the last part, and it will grow again organically, is for me now to begin to love even the broken parts of me, because they're teaching me something important about myself that I was trying to cut out. It's like trying to run on one leg, the sort of part of me I was trying to cut off. But the moment I realized, my God, I have two legs, although it doesn't have the same strength, but I can work on giving it more strength. Right? Although what I'm talking about is not the archetypes, but if you look at Carl Gustav Jung's understanding of the archetypes, you will realize, although there is a wise one archetype, there is a ruler archetype, there is a inner child archetype, there is a mother-father archetype, there are all these archetypes, but there's also a destroyer archetype. There's also a warrior archetype. And you cannot extricate and remove and take out and erase the warrior or the destroyer. They all play an important role in the proper functioning of your entire human psyche. And thus, it's the same thing you're doing. All the broken parts, all the pieces that you're seeing that are unflattering, that the accuser is making you feel, you're an imposter and you're lying to yourself. All of these things are part of who you are. And you need to first forgive yourself for having even created, deny yourself, because we lie to ourselves constantly. Everybody does it. This is not something unique. The greatest lie are the one that we tell ourselves. We make believe that we are a profession, we are something else, and we're Bambi, we are Ursula the Witch, we are Batman, we are Zorro, we make believe we're all kinds of things. And when in fact the essence of our being is something else. And so if you can incorporate and realize, well, Zorro is a part of me, Ursula the Witch is a part of me, Bambi is a part of me, I cannot extricate or remove all of them. I need to love them equally. And if you can do this, the entire menagerie of your subconscious mind comes at peace and begin to integrate and function the way it was supposed to function. And this is really, really important. And that self-love becomes extremely healing, because it comes from the roots of heaven into the crack and crevices in the deep, deep, deep cavernous chamber of our subconscious mind. It begins to provide love, acceptance, and forgiveness, and it begins to heal all of that as the light rises from the depth of your soul and begin to rise up, and it releases tremendous light toward the heavens. This is how, because there's a lot of people who are in the light community that I've observed over the years that are trying to ascend, and they are top heavy. They are solar plexus chakra, not even that. They go, solar plexus chakra and up. They are all connected to it, but nothing below. They're not connected to it because it's too dark. They don't want to go in there. Dantien, they don't want to go in there. The first and second chakra, they don't want to go in there. Even the solar plexus chakra, some of them don't want to go in there. They want to focus on the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the seventh chakra. So we have to be complete. And when you do that kind of work, it further helps heals yourself to such profound depth that it will allow the kundalini, which is the force, the shushuma, that needs to rise through your spinal cord and come to the mouth of God, the medulla oblongata, and see the world through your eyes. The Shoshoma is a coiled snake, and it should rise up inside of you. And when it comes into you, fully standing up on its tail, looking, this is the way the Kundalini is going to rise. That's what's going to help it rise. It's that transmutation. It's the forgiveness. It's the acceptance, and it's the self-love. In fact, when you're doing this work, there are moments you're going to feel extremely euphoric, like you have joy, you have ecstasy, that's momentarily Kundalini rising experiences. It's because some of the crevices and cracks are healing, and as they heal, they release a tremendous amount of upsurge energy, where Shakti, the energy of the earth, rises and heals and begins to rise up. And the serpent is trying to move, uncoil, and stand on its tail. And when you do this and you do this work, you're able to provide yourself with tremendous amount of help and this is true ascension, because you will elevate as much, you will go as high as you're going down, you will have as much height as you have depth. You will ground the energy correctly, because it will rise from the Gaia, from Shakti itself. And it will be balanced. This is the reason why when I'm asking you to do the new version of the torsion field, I want you to understand the depth to which you're descending, fourth dimensional body. As you're going high, you're going just as far down, the same depth as well. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And as you're going higher to go into the roots of the throne room of God, you're going as far down as well. And the emotional repair and transmutation that you're doing is that you're also, in the chemical thing that you're doing in your body when you're doing this kind of deep work, is that there are enzymes that are holding the Kundalini force back down to remain coiled. And they are connected to the block emotion and block things that when you're trying to deny that you have this brokenness and you have this deficiency. But when you do the repair, the enzyme begin to dissipate, and it allows the Kundalini energy to flow upward. And as it flows upward, it rush up your parasympathetic nervous system and make you feel ecstatically happy and joyous. So if you feel you're on a roller coaster, there are moments when you're ecstatically happy as you're doing this work, and a moment you plummet down. That's the reason. Now, this is one aspect of the work. There is a secondary or equally important aspect. I shouldn't say secondary, because this is equally important. And we talked about this, and I'm going to go back over it, and I want to expand on that part more. I want to heavily expand on it. The reason for this test of the dweller, it's because originally there existed only an infinite desire to give. But that desire to give was not self-aware, and it emptied a space for itself and manifested an equally infinite desire to receive. It created a mirror, a reflection. This is before there was time and space, before there were universes, way before everything. And for a while there, it was a perfect alchemical marriage. The receiver had to desire and think of something the giver would automatically fulfill it, and all the receiver needed to do to give back to the giver was to be grateful. Now, that gratitude becomes important because if for some reason the gratitude dissipate, which it did, and I'm going to explain to you how it happened. You know, many times, all of us have experienced this when you've gone to a shopping center or mall where you see a little kid that's throwing a tantrum because they want this toy, that toy, and the parent don't know what to do. They're embarrassed and all that. This is what the receiver became to be. Instead of being grateful and saying glory, glory to the giver, and keep thanking the giver for every gift that it wanted that was being given and poured, giving out to him. It's important for us to understand that we are faith that if you stop giving glory or being grateful and thankful to the person or your benefactor that's constantly pouring all these gifts upon you, you end up being entitled. And that entitlement will sink you, because behind that entitlement is a part of you that knows you have not given anything back. And therefore, you are really undeserving of receiving all the gifts that you're receiving. But it's not something that's done consciously. I want you to understand that. It's not a deliberate act. It's something that happened in the flicker like this. All of a sudden, the gratitude evaporates. So if you're not maintaining an attitude or a grateful heart on a constant and permanent basis, over and over and over and over, on a continual basis, over and over again, it will dissipate like this and you will not have it anymore. Okay? And this is what happened to the receiver. The receiver, I got to a point where it was receiving, and it was not being grateful and thankful in any meaningful way to the giver. And because of this, it evaporated, it became entitled, and then the undeservedness showed up. And it became bigger and bigger until the receiver said, no, I don't want to receive anymore. You're giving me too much. I don't want to receive. Because it felt, I can't receive anymore because now I'm shameful. You're giving me too much. And so it's important for us to understand this, because the receiver contracted and became where it was infinite before. It shrunk and became a dot. If you can think of infinity collapsing into a dot. And it got afraid and said to the giver, come back, I made a mistake, restore everything. The giver knew, I could fulfill every desire that you have, but I cannot remove your shame. I have to figure out a way to remove the shame. And what it did is that when it came back and touched the dot, it exploded it in a gigantic spiritual detonation. The universe was instantaneously created, with time, space expanding out in nanoseconds, inflating everything, okay? Rapidly inflating everything. All the star, dust, particle, planet, universes, star, all of it came from that one big explosion. Everything like jetting out, right? But inserted in that as well was what the Kabbalah call Hasatan, which is what we would call right now, in the context of what we're discussing, the dweller on the threshold or the accuser. That force is not a demon with horns, a long tail, and a pitchfork. This is it's a highly sophisticated and intelligent force that is trying to be a tough teacher to make it so difficult for us because we are fragment of that receiver, and as individual separate fragments we have to learn how to give and receive from each other by removing the original shame and undeservedness and replace it with gratitude to each other and into God. We're going to practice it first, small ways to each other, and then we're going to do it for God. That's the whole purpose. Any questions, any comments?
It seems to me that very often the problem is not that we are not giving, but we're not able to receive.
Mm-hmm.
That and giving with gratitude, of course, and joy in the giving. And you've talked about that in the past about blocking receiving because you don't feel worthy, I suppose. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Okay, for me, very specifically, I can talk about the fact that I saw my dad abuse my mom and do horrible things to the whole family. And I decided as a young child at 4 years old that I don't want to receive from my father. I don't want to receive anything from him. And therefore, in the way I was going to do this, it was completely unconscious. I just knew I don't want to receive from him. And the way I did this is that I overcompensated in my giving. The only way I can control anything is if I give all the time. So I started to give compulsively. That's a flaw. It means that every time somebody's trying to give to me, every time I'm trying to receive something, I have a problem receiving. Because that pattern, that first trauma shows up. You cannot receive because if you receive, you're going to be vulnerable and you're going to get hurt. Because that's what my mother was doing. You see what I'm saying? So I have to be very careful to repair this for me, the schism, this trauma that I witnessed when I was a child. That I have to learn how to give and receive. No, because if Pierre is giving all the time, at some point Pierre is going to be empty because it's not coming from God, it's coming from me. God is infinity times infinity. I remember when I faced this the first time during a query with my dentian, I was so shocked and I was so afraid. I kept saying, how do I overcome this? I've been doing this my entire life since I was 4 years old. And God said to me, I don't require this from you. And I'm like, so what do I do? I'm scared. And God said to me, give and receive from infinity times infinity. Stop making it about you and your need and your desire. Expand it and let it come from infinity times infinity. And that's what I've been trying to do. Not successfully all the time, but that's what I've been trying to do. Learn to give and receive from infinity times infinity. And by the way, that term infinity times infinity was the first time that I heard it. It exploded in my head because I'm like, I, I, how big is infinity times infinity?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have an end. You said infinity multiplied by infinity. What does that look like?
Right. Given your particular circumstance and the trauma that created that pattern for you, it's easy to see how that would have been developed. But for those of us who may not have had such a traumatic event to trigger it, would it be pointing to that original shame that is preventing us from receiving? And would then the fix, so to speak, or the way to resolve that is to know that it is infinity times infinity, as you say, that is gifting it to you, or that you're receiving it not from a person, but from the infinite.
Okay, so it's a great question, and it's going to take me to the next part of what I wanted to present. So, which is great. So in order for us to truly repair this, we have to restore back our connection to real gratitude. When the universe is attempting to give us something, whether it is something small, somebody gives you a flower, or somebody pays you a compliment, or somebody help you out by holding your hand when you're crossing the street, or anything that's small, you have to understand that all of these small, what appear to be insignificant, come from one place, from infinity times infinity. It's not the person. And for you to have a grateful heart toward these simple little gestures and simple little trickles and gifts that are coming to you. And so if you're walking down the street, like the other day, I was in the lobby of my building and I was near the elevator, there was a $5 bill that was on the floor. And I'm like, there was nobody in the lobby. I picked it up. I was like, I should give this to a homeless person, blah, blah, blah. And my initial instinct, give it out. And then I thought to myself, no, the universe is trying to give this to me. I need to be grateful for the fact that this money fell literally, it was right in front of me. It's a small, insignificant amount, but you can buy something with $5. And so, and also I had to, the way I'm understanding gratitude had to change. I had shared with you that I had done the cultivation of the virtue exercise. You start with, on a daily basis, you start with the 12 higher virtues, and you begin with peace, love, control, obedience, and gratitude. And there are others, wisdom, um, uh, uh, and the last one is victory. I forgot the other ones. So what you do as you're doing this, you need to be very aware as you're going through the first one. You're asked, there's a fragment of us, there are fragments of us that understand these 12 virtues that are not integrated with our psyche. So you're going to connect to that fragment of yourself that understands peace. And you're going to say, if I were at peace, what would I feel? What would I know in my body? And then you wait for a feeling, a word, sometimes auditory, sometimes it's a sensation, sometimes it's visual, to show up for you. You do, and then you go to the next one. If I were to truly understand unconditional love, what would I feel? What would I know in my body? And you do this. So I was doing this with gratitude, and for about 2 months, I was feeling something big on the side, and I couldn't. It was so complex. Something was there. There was definitely, but it wasn't one feeling. It was something I couldn't comprehend. And one day, as I pay attention, I heard the word reverence. And I kind of tilted my head like this, like, reverence? What does that mean? How is reverence connected to gratitude? And I waited. And I heard this sentence, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. And it changed my life because of this. So when I found that $5 bill, after I put it, I didn't put it in my wallet because I felt so undeserving to put it in my wallet. I put it in my pocket. I was going to give it to the first homeless person that I saw. And I said to myself, no. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received, because this is coming from God who's gifting this to me. deep and profound reverence for the gift received. And I repeat it over again. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. And you have to understand, I had to unpack this. It took me a good week to unpack what it meant. Reverence is you prostrating yourself in front of a superior force or power. And I had to allow an understanding inside of me that says I am not separated from my higher power. This is where the original receiver lost its gratitude. It's when we begin to think of ourselves as being separated and disjointed from our higher power, how we see it, from infinity times infinity, from God, from Jesus, from however you see your higher power is represented to you. So I have to have reverence, and for me to have that reverence, I have to connect on a continual basis that I have a higher, superior power, and I'm not alone. That superior power is intimately connected to me and is indivisible to me. Indivisible to me. That the Father, Mother, and I are one. That I am not, there is no separation, no severance between me and that force. I am indivisible from my God. I am indivisible from infinity times infinity. And therefore, I have deep and profound reverence for every gift that I receive. And I'm going to go further. The accuser that's creating the resistance force for us and that's trying to stop us or trying to help us remove our shame so that toward ascension. Because if we're doing the group work we're doing, which is to help open a gate to allow humanity to move into the new earth, they're doing a great job right now. Because all of the distraction and the chaos in the world, whether it's the weather pattern, whether it is the political and social things that are happening, whether it is the, particularly in America, all the chaos that are going on right now, all of the tariff changes, the fear of financial loss, the fear, so many fear, that I can talk about myself and tell you that the clarity and the connection that I had prior to lockdown in March of 2020, I had a general clarity and simplicity connecting to my God that I gradually eroded with the more and more chaos and distraction that was created. Because lockdown and no social interaction traumatize you and does something to your psyche. Because it takes you into survival. And when it takes you into survival, you don't live in abundance. You don't feel connected. You don't feel supported into infinity times infinity. You're existing in fear and pockets of like, I have to wipe this, I have to clean this, I have to, and that separates you further. And so it's important for us to understand all of this, right? And to make certain that we are that the accuser who's creating all these external events and circumstances, because the accuser does not accuse you just internally in an internal conversation. It will be somebody that will show up in your life and tell you certain things that tell you you're not good enough. It could be a dream when you're dreaming you're not good enough. It's an external event that happened to tell you you're not good enough, you're undeserving, and you're lying. And when all of this happens, it takes you further and further away from that indivisibility, for a sense of me and my highest are one. I am indivisible. That the fall, the original fall, because many of us have memory of falling, that original fall is an illusion. Because in truth, none of us, the entire Big Bang and gigantic spiritual detonation, it never happened. We're dreaming that it happened. God, the higher force, source, is everywhere. There is not one iota of that exists anywhere where that force doesn't exist. Therefore, you and I are indivisible to that force. It is my consciousness, my fragmented consciousness, that is playing a mind trick with me and telling me I'm separated from it. The truth is, I am indivisible to it. I'm not separated in any way, shape, or form. And I need to exist. If I'm going to be really grateful, equally important, I need to exist in a state of indivisibility from that creative principle. And if I know I'm indivisible to it, I will prostrate myself and venerate it. Because if I'm going to venerate something, I cannot venerate the thin air. I have to venerate something that I see as my higher power. And I'm saying this to people, and I want you to understand this. Disease of all kind, doesn't matter what kind it is, it's a disconnection to that original indivisibility. The disease itself is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's not there. It's chaos. It's another form of undeservedness. All that needs to be restored for health to return. And I've dealt with clients who have faced catastrophic illness before, and the way they were able to manage to overcome their challenges was always restoring that connection. If you know you're connected and you're indivisible from that force, and you exist in it for a period of time, for several months, for 3, 4, 5 months like this, to the best of your ability, whatever the problem is, it's eradicated. It's gone. And I'm saying this to you because I'm saying it to myself too. I have to keep reminding myself on a daily basis, by keep repeating to myself as I do my breath work, I am indivisible from my God. I am indivisible from infinity times infinity. Therefore, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. Deep, and I'm repeating this over and over again. And as I do this, my consciousness is shifted first with the idea of indivisibility. And then it creates a different frequency and vibration when I begin to repeat this definition of gratitude over and over and over again. Now, I don't do this in few meditation with my eyes closed. It could be contemplation while you're walking, while you're going to the store, while you're doing something else, you're vacuuming, you're taking a shower. You repeat these things over and over and over and over again to shift you into the awareness that I am one with God. I've always been one with God. Once that access is restored, nothing can be wrong. If you have doubt, you have all these fears, it's because that connection is not clear. It's not defined. We need to restore that idea that I am not separated in any way. The separation, I know you've read this before. Separation is an illusion. I know we're all spiritual beings. We know this and we're repeating this. You need to exist and generate an emotional awareness, an internal spiritual vibration and frequency of that awareness that I am indivisible. I cannot be separated from that force. Any questions, any comments?
I wanted to go back to the incident that you have of finding that $5 or whatever it was, the denomination money, and how you could have given it to someone of so homeless person who would have had great need, but needed to also value that it was a gift from infinity times infinity, possibly to you. It reminded me of an incident in my background, my history, where I was in a grocery store with a friend helping her gather all kinds of food items for a party she was throwing. And she did not have endless funds, so it was an exercise in seeing how much you could do with so little. Well, I found a wad of money on the floor, and I picked it up and I said, "Oh, somebody has dropped this." Turned out to be $200.
Mm.
And I wanted to go to the office of the grocery store and have them announce if anybody has lost some money, then please come to the office and I guess they probably have made asked some questions to make sure that it wasn't just anybody saying, "Oh, I lost money. Oh, me too. I lost money," kind of thing. But my friend said, "No, this is perfect. Now I can get what I need."
Mm.
And I thought, but somebody probably went to an ATM machine to get money to buy food for their family and now don't have it. And I felt really, really torn. Even to this day, I feel some part of me that I should have insisted that that money returned. But it's different than your case because there was nobody obvious that you could turn to and say, "Did you lose this money?" Would that have been wrong for her to have taken that, assuming that was intended for her?
Well, it was intended for you.
Oh,
Okay, let me just say this. It was intended for you. The other thing also to realize is that money and abundance is connected directly to the Divine Mother. In Indian mythology, she's Lakshmi. She's the goddess that gives abundance of all kind. But she doesn't just give money. She also is responsible for health, for happiness, for joy, for abundance of all kind. And if you are denying her access and she tests you, when she drops little things here and there that appears, because you keep thinking about the money in the world as belonging to other people. The billionaires, the people who have, like the Elon Musk and that have $400 billion and all the Middle East people that have trillions of dollars. The money is not theirs. The gold, the diamond, the rubies, they're not theirs. They belong to Lakshmi. It's not theirs. It doesn't belong to them. I remember the biggest lesson that one of the biggest lessons that I learned. We were doing a class Georgie was talking about Lashmi and the initiation and the receiving. He has a lot of very wealthy feng shui clients. And he was saying that when my client, this exploded in my head. He said, when my client comes to me and they want me to feng shui their home for $32 million that they're trying to sell, he said, I understand that it is not their home and their money. That money belongs to Lashmi and therefore it belongs to me. And I'm going to feng shui it to unlock the energy so that the energy will flow, but it's not theirs. The $200 doesn't belong to someone else. It belongs to the goddess of abundance. It belongs to the universe. And the universe can decide to do what it wants with it. And it is up to you to accept or to refuse. And if you refuse it, and you refuse the money, then Lashmi will deny you health, it will deny you happiness, because it's one muscle.
Hmm. Well,
It's the same flow. If you're restricting how you receive this, and I'm not going to receive it this way, I don't want it on the floor because it could be coming from somebody else, I'm not receiving it that way, you're limiting it, it's going to restrict everything else.
okay. If I had, on the other hand, seen somebody drop it from their
That's a
pocket,
different story. That's a different story.
yes, I see. I see.
That's a completely different story.
Got you. Hmm.
We need to expand our consciousness and realize all of the values and the riches. And like people make the mistake of limiting Lashmi to just money. It's not money. It's the act of giving. It's everything that Lashmi can give, including intelligence, happiness, joy, health.
And then we come up to the excuse me, the inability to receive.
That's correct. That's correct. Because we have shame and undeservedness. I have to share to you with you a story. This is years ago. And I'm talking about probably 2018 or something like that. I had a dream, and I saw a number in the dream, 25,000. So I saw a number right before I woke up, and with decimal point and everything else. And for whatever reason that day, I needed to withdraw some money out the bank. I went in the ATM and I checked my balance. It was the exact amount. Okay, I freaked out. It was a decimal point and 13 cents. I remember freaking out and saying to myself, I cannot accept this. I need to close the session immediately and go inside and have the teller check it, because the mistake I made, and the mistake that a lot of people are making when you find money like this, you have to take some part of it and put it in your pocket. I had to withdraw, even if I took $10 or $20 out from that amount, it would have stayed with me. Of course, I closed the session. When I reopened it again, the balance that I was expecting showed up.
I see. Hmm.
That was definitely like shocking to me. And again, I'm standing in front of the ATM saying, they make a mistake. If I take this money and accept it, they're gonna come after me. All this stuff was going in my head. Do you understand? They're gonna come after me. I'm gonna be arrested. I'm gonna be responsible for this. If Lashmi can drop money on the floor and she can also put the money in your account. but I was not ready to accept. Instead of standing in front of it and looking at it and said, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. Thank you, God. Thank you. Deep and profound. If I were to do this, the money would have stayed.
Wow.
We have these stories from back home that talks about people finding jars of gold in their yard or in the fields and all that, and the jar would show up of gold coins. And the stuff, the money, my grandmother, this happened to her. It showed up, but there's something that scared her. She said no, she pushed it, or she saw a small snake. She pushed it back. In the dream that she had, she was a young girl, 13 or 14 years old. She saw a flat rock that was near where she was leaving, and she lifted it and she saw a ribbon that was tied up, and she untied the ribbon, and the jar of gold just popped up.
Wow.
And when she woke up in the morning, she said nothing to anyone. Very early, 5 o'clock in the morning, she touched the rock, and a ribbon was a tiny little snake. If she had touched the snake and moved it out of the way, she would have gotten the money.
I know somebody that, not speaking of money, but if there is a need in their life, uh, they come across the opportunity to achieve that need, to receive, whether it's a car or whether it's furniture or many, many different things I've observed. And that must mean they're in alignment then.
Correct.
Wow.
There are lots of people who are able to receive, and this is the way they manifest. Because they don't bypass, they don't have the shame and the undeservedness, and they can accept. Thank you for, you can, if you can. And again, for me, repeating this over and over again helps me a lot. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. When I repeat this over and over again, it shifts me into a place of understanding that all of the flow, health, money, joy, happiness, my connection to God, all of it comes from one source.
Yes. So then my question becomes, how does one correct undeservedness, unworthiness? Is it for asking for forgiveness? Is it surrendering it? How do you achieve that?
Well, the two-pronged thing we talked about. The first one is the celestial alchemy, the spiritual alchemy we talked about, the three-step.
Acknowledgement,
Yes,
uh, uh,
the forgiveness, the acceptance, and the self-love.
self-love. Yeah.
The second part is to repeat on a meditative or contemplative manner over and over again these two things, that I am indivisible from the creative principle. And let that be repeated so many times, it becomes now the parking lot that you're sitting in. I am indivisible from the creative principle. And therefore, I have deep and profound reverence for the gift that you're continually giving me. And you repeat these things over and over and over and over again. I repeat them sometimes as I'm falling asleep, when I wake up in the morning. Deep and profound reverence for the gifts received. Because if you're in gratitude, there is no shame. If you're in indivisibility, there is no shame. There is no room for shame.
I don't know if maybe then when I'm giving thanks, if that's not true, because I still have undeservedness.
Go deeper, please. Explain.
Every day I give thanks for so many things, God's presence, his love, for the gifts, for the blessings, for his guidance. And yet I'm sure I have not cleared unworthiness, undeservedness. Does that mean that my gratitude is not
It's
true?
not just gratitude. You are not in a state of indivisibility with God.
Ah,
That's where it is.
so
It's deeper than the gratitude. You have to know in every fiber of your being that you're indivisible from God.
saying that is easy. How do you achieve that?
You keep saying it over and over again, and every time you say it, it shifts something deeper and deeper and deeper in you. You
I
keep
see.
saying
I
it
see.
over and over again, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until it completely penetrates you. Forget 21 days. Try 6 months, 7 months. Repeat it over and over again until it drowns completely.
I see. Oh, that's the part that I'm missing. I see that. Mm, thank you.
It is the most profound thing I could say to you, that giving everything that's happening in your life, if you can see yourself as indivisible from God, all your problems will disappear. They will cease to be.
The shame would go along with the undeservedness then.
Yes, the shame and the undeservedness will begin to dissipate, because if you're indivisible from God, you never left the bosom of God. And I've said this to you before, and I've alluded to it, and I've said it because I've channeled it, but I have never emotionally existed in that space.
Right,
And I'm still working toward that.
right,
That I
right.
am indivisible. That we never left the bosom of God. We're just dreaming that we fell.
That's the part that I met as well. Not not making it more than a surface
Yes,
thought or affirmation.
yes. There is no separation between us and God. And the people who are able to manifest is because they know that they're indivisible from God. And when they give the thanks and the gratitude, the reverence is okay. I don't have the Bible next to me. Last week I had read the passage from I think it's chapter 4 of Revelation, where John went into the heaven and saw the being sitting in the throne of light, surrounded with a rainbow and all of that, and the floor was like the heavens, and there were 24 elders that surrounded the throne of grace and all that, and there were four living creatures, one like an eagle, one like a calf, a bull, one like a lion, and one like a man. And they had six wings each, and there were eyes all over them. And all of them were singing, holy, holy, and saying thanks to God continuously. I want you to understand that part. And then the 24 elders prostrated themselves in front of the throne and threw their crown on the floor around this throne and sung, thank God, thank you to the creator that made everything that exists. I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying over and over again, thank you, on a continual basis. In the book of Enoch, when Enoch went to the highest room in the heaven, it was the same thing. The idea is that when you enter in the presence of your God, not only are you indivisible to it, but you prostrate yourself in front of it. And that prostration, that veneration, becomes the key to remove the shame and the undeservedness, and it's continually being repeated. So if you want to remove your shame and your undeservedness, you should be repeating over and over again deep and profound reverence for the gift received, with the attitude of I'm connecting to my higher power in front of the throne room, and I'm prostrating myself in front of him. I don't know if I shared with you. I think I may have done that. Forgive me if I'm repeating this story. I'll make it short. Years ago, that my mom was sick, and I was 18 years old, or almost 19, and 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 I had gone to the temple. I had just been part of the mystery schools, and I went into. As I got home, I asked for how to heal my mother. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had a connection to God that was so intimate. I just knew that God said, "Go take your mother to your room and put your hand on her and heal her." I just called her when I got home. She went into my room with me, and I did a few things for her. I gave her, we did some vowel sounds. They're kind of like mantra, but it's just vowel sound that you would intone. Then I asked her to breathe with me. I put her on the bed. I touched her back. That's the section where she was ill. And then I didn't know what I was doing. One thing, I didn't have a script. The Spirit didn't tell me you're gonna do this and the next and the next. I just walk in, I did one thing, and then I got an inkling, do this next, do this next. And I just literally obeyed. I obeyed. Everything I was being told to do, I obeyed. Remember, obedience is one of the also all of the virtues, higher virtues. And then finally, after she was laying down and we were both reading together, I was told to kneel down on the floor. And I kneeled down, and I was told, prostrate yourself. And I leaned down, I prostrated myself, I extended my hand above my head, and I had my forehead against the floor. And I was asking, as I was doing this, help my mother heal. That's all I could utter. And suddenly, like this, a snap, I projected astrally out of my body. And I was floating in space above the earth, and the light came to me. And I repeated the same thing, help me heal my mother. And then the energy pushed me back forcefully into my body. And I landed, boom. But as I landed, multiple things happened. I began to feel a vibration like I was internally, that there was a jackhammer or an energy that was shaking me like that, like rapidly. My mother started screaming because she was feeling exactly the same thing. She was in a bed next to me. And then there was a window at the end of the room, one window. There was a shade. It was pulled down. The shade snapped and fell to the ground, and the whole room was lit up. I don't know where the light came from. There was light everywhere. All of it in one time as I landed into my body. The prostration and the veneration. I prostrated myself and I venerated myself in front of my God, and I asked for help, and the help came. Now, I don't think it was God. It was an angel probably that was sent, an angelic force, because I saw the luminous form. The light was in the room, and the healing happened like this.
Okay, I have to ask a question that's going to sound irreverent.
No, go ahead.
If if we are indivisible from God, we are like a drop of water in the ocean, right? And we are the ocean. If we are indivisible from God, then we are God.
Correct.
So are we then prostrating ourselves to ourselves?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Because that would sound like separation. That if
It's not
you're,
separation. It's not separation. It's reflection.
oh, oh, I see.
Remember, desire to give, desire to receive, it's a mirror. It's reflection.
So the magnificence of God and who we are as one with God.
Yes.
That is that
It, it, it,
reverence.
it's reflection. When Moses saw the burning bush, he went on the ground. He prostrated himself.
And that would, to me, sound like separation. He saw that as God separate from him,
No,
therefore he
that's
prostrated.
not the way to see it. It's not separation. It's reverence. It's reverence to understand that you're grateful because up to that point, you were in a consciousness that separated you so completely. The
Oh, I
fact that you
see.
can see this
Ah,
is an
yes.
indication that you are no longer separated.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
therefore, you're celebrating by prostrating yourself in front of it.
Oh, I got it. That's
Up
a
to that point,
wonderful,
up to that point, you had no access.
that's a wonderful perspective. It makes it very clear then. Thank you.
Yeah. Because up to that point, you and I we didn't have any access. And when the access is restored, you have this attitude to have gratitude. You have to have a lot of humility and faith. You have to be humble, and the faith connects to the higher power. But you have also to have a lot of humility and realize it, what's happening right now is by grace. And because it's by grace, I have to bow down and be reverent for the grace that I'm receiving. And that grace will feed back. God will see itself in you by the reverence.
And that's the giving back.
That's the giving back.
Mm, well, that helps a lot. Thank you, Pierre.
Yeah. Because if the reflection is not there, there gives no give back you, then you. And there's so many passages in the Bible where I think in the passage in the Mount Sinai, uh, uh, Moses was asked to prostrate himself. A voice said, "You're on holy ground. Prostrate." And when he did, he gave reverence to God. And the voice of God was talking to him and gave him the tablets right then and there. If you see the movie with Charlton Heston, the fire, a jet of fire came in and carved out the Ten Commandments supposedly on the tablet.
No separation means that all is one, means all that God is, you have.
Correct. And when you exist in that indivisibility, you begin to realize the lack that you exist in and all the limits and the boundaries that you keep putting on yourself.
Foolish,
Absolutely foolish. Totally. That's the right word for it.
self-punishment,
Correct.
all connects to the shame.
Yep. Yep.
Unnecessary.
Yep. All that.
Oh, wow. It's all very clear now. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. and I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I have deep and profound reverence for the endless gift that I am receiving from my benefactor, from God, from infinity times infinity. Deep and profound reverence for the gift of happiness, of health, of joy, deep and profound reverence for the gift and the challenges that becomes the gifts. Deep and profound reverence for the endless gifts received. Deep and profound reverence for the gifts of abundance, the flow of Lakshmi, flow of joy, of health, of happiness, of money. Deep and profound reverence for the gifts of understanding and wisdom into knowing how to receive and how to give. Deep and profound reverence for the endless gifts, connection, grace, blessings, shifts in consciousness, the rest of God, the peace of God, the stillness of God. Deep and profound reverence for the gifts received. I am indivisible from my God. I am indivisible from infinity times infinity. I am indivisible from the vast continents I am indivisible from the first cause. The Father, Mother, and I are one, indivisible. I have never been alone, for I am one with my Creator. In the vast continents, in the blessed field, I exist as I've always existed. And I enter the rest, the peace, the stillness, and the gratitude of having restored my connection to my God. For endlessness and I are one. The blessed field and its expansion into infinity times infinity are one with me. I am healed. I am repaired. I am fixed design. For I am indivisible. From endlessness. deep and profound reverence for the gifts received. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath, and whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Oh, thank you, Pierre. That this class and this meditation have just transformed me from a very low state at the start of the class to feeling strength in my spirit again. I just had to express gratitude to God, but gratitude to you. And of course, you are one with God, so is gratitude to the same.
Beautiful.
May I just share
Yes.
one thought that came to my mind? I am in God, God is in me. What God is, I am. What I am, God is. So therefore, if God cannot be in lack, ill, or struggling, I cannot be either.
There you go.
Or if I am, that must mean that God is, which is an impossibility, right?
Correct.
So, so how can you even imagine not being anything but the magnificence of our Creator who you called, and the light bulb went off in my head, the benefactor.
Mm,
Wow.
mm,
Did that ever place a whole different aspect to the word my God, my
mm.
benefactor? Thank you.
You're welcome. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone that's listening to us on Patreon. Thank you for your support. And thank you. Like this video, subscribe. I love you all. And I'll talk to you next week. Blessings. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you. Thank you, Pierre. Love you.
Love you too.